in 7 years I've done 18 shows.
I don't. People always talk about elementary school stuff. I don't really remember that.
I've worked also internationally.
I'm originally Bulgarian, but I live in London at the moment, and I work in both countries.
South China Sea, you know, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia.
A girl named Chai, like the latte on Girl Meets World on Disney Channel, which was really, really fun.
Denmark, Zurich, London, wherever the work takes me.
My first role was as Toto for The Wizard of Oz.
I would love to do cartoons, but it's a very saturated market.
A role where all of your lines are barking.
So it's been described to me, I fit a certain
I want to say about 100.
aspect quite well.
Constantly auditioning.
I'd probably say 20 to 30.
Over 50. I can tell you it's over 50.
Wow. More than 50.
So I did like, I think it was 13 shows back to back was like the climax. That was 2014.
All I know is probably well over 100.
In the hundreds.
Do I enjoy the process of auditioning? That's tough. I have a very, very love-hate relationship with auditioning.
You know what? I do enjoy the process of auditioning. I do.
I hate auditions, but I love auditioning because it's just a chance to be seen. I would prefer if it wasn't so individual, like it wasn't so focused on you, because I would love like scene auditions and like, but those are usually callbacks.
I do enjoy the process of auditioning, especially when you get to the stage, you're given directions and all that. You feel like you're closer to the role.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking, like something awful.
If it's for a new company, those are my favorite, where it's for a new company rather than a same old company that I've been already seen because they've seen my work.
But that just gives me such a thrill, you know, like to feel that nervousness and that excitement. I read something somewhere that nervousness and excitement is the same feeling, and I think it is. I do.
Yes.
Sometimes.
That has helped me a lot in enjoying auditioning, because it means that any nerves that I have, I can think of them as, oh no, this is just excitement for the role. It's excitement to get up in front of people and show them what I can do and hope that I can be what they're looking for and hope that I can contribute to this project.
I think catacalls are the worst auditions because they have at least 100 or more girls or guys that look all the same. And then they have one or two people that don't really fit exactly what they want, but they just want to have some variety. But that means the one or two people that you might look like, that's your competition.
Yes, I do. I mean, it's interesting because I'm kind of going through a period of time right now where I'm not that much, but it really kind of depends on the character. I've always loved auditioning. I have always loved auditioning. And just the whole experience of kind of like getting the email and getting to go through it. When I went to acting class and I actually had a solid method of breaking down a script, I enjoyed it a lot more.
Well, when you're auditioning for theater, I think the thing they want the most is energy and to see how you go with the flow, because anything can happen in live theater, and if you don't have the ability to just go with it, there's a big chance they won't cast you.
Half the time, because sometimes the build-up is like really
Excruciating.
yeah, you're just sitting there, so you're looking around and people are just like, got a lot of awesome people around sometimes, and it can be pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But then other times when you get to know the people, when they're like nice enough to come up to you and meet you, like Spamalot, even though I bombed the audition, the people were amazing.
And for film, they tend to want something very specific. And you could be perfect for the role, but if there's this one little thing, maybe you don't have the right chemistry with another actor, they're just not going to pick you.
I've made peace with it. Sometimes I do. There are certain things I really, I'm currently in a production of Peter Pan, and it's just a fun, physical part. And so like I loved the audition for this. I was like jumping on the furniture, I was running around, and That stuff is really fun, but I've been on some auditions that are just challenging.
And lots of times with scripts on film, there will be last-minute line changes or things, and if you don't have the ability to memorize that quickly, then they're also not going to cast you.
Yes and no. Of course, you know, if you don't enjoy auditioning whatsoever, you know, it's going to be pretty hard to get parts. But definitely, auditioning is very nerve-wracking for me, because you know, it's kind of like a job interview, but like just way more vulnerable, like 5 times more vulnerable.
I do and I don't. You know, I like the challenge of having to put things together, like having to like really look and be like, what's going to be the best thing I can show to people, you know?
Incredibly nerve-wracking and anxiety-inducing to put yourself out there like that.
And directors are generally pretty good, especially around here, about like letting people know right away, but like that is definitely the waiting game as an actor is like the worst feeling in the world, you know? Especially if you think you did good. If you did poorly, you know, it's kind of like they're not going to call me, you know, which is like, okay, it's like I went in there, you know, it's like if you went in and did a really good job and you don't hear anything, that can be like devastating, you know, so yeah, I mean, it has pros and cons.
But at the same time, there is such an adrenaline rush that comes from acting that I think is incomparable. I don't think you can, personally, I cannot find that same kind of adrenaline rush anywhere else.
I do and don't enjoy the process of auditioning. It varies. I think I like the buzz. I like the challenge. I fear the failure, obviously, although I'm used to it.
Yeah, it's all right. I used to attend in Marin County, the Marin Actors Workshop, and so I would take my audition stuff before them and kind of work it out before I had to actually go before a director and all that. So I tried to flush it all out. It's kind of hard sometimes when you don't have that. You think, oh yeah, I'm just going to go in there and nail it. And, yeah, it doesn't always work.
You do get resilient, and it does become normal, and you realise when you talk to other people that haven't been through it that you have developed a resilience of a sort, because you realise how they react and you think, oh yeah, I do that every time, but you know, I know it's happening and I know how long it takes, and then I move on.
I don't. I do not like auditioning, and that has been one of my biggest problems, is working up to auditioning and trying to keep my expectations low. Because I've had that happen a couple times where I go in like, oh, I got this, really confident, and just been let down. And that's on me for hyping myself up about it.
I definitely like auditions where you go in and it's just like, we're just going to cold read the script, you know?
But what I do think a really good process is to have warm reads, to hand out a script. And then so that you can read it and think of several different ways to play it. And I think it adds more character work during the audition rather than just cold reading and then the director casting from that.
I definitely used to not like it at all, but I think I've gotten used to it and feel more comfortable in that space. So at this point, yeah, I do like the process of auditioning because I look at it as an opportunity to go play, put myself to work, and I still get those nerves and that excitement, but I enjoy it a lot more than I used to.
Not at all.
But of course, whenever you get to audition, it always, you get to test out your strings and you show them what you got, and it's a little bit of a sampling of, what flavor of ice cream you are.
I think I do if I'm comfortable. I feel like I'm not under a microscope. If I'm with someone I know or who knows my work or I'm friendly with, and I have the details.
No, I absolutely hate it. I know for certain that there is favoritism in just the world of acting in general. It feels sort of like a formality to choices that have already been made.
I know I've spent years and years learning, don't try to please others, please yourself. But it's my nature to try to please others.
It just doesn't strike me as something that reflects anyone's ability to do anything other than regurgitate information. It just strikes me like a test. Just like, learn this material and then come up in front of me and then say it in a row and okay, you're done. Like, it just, I don't know how to do it better, but like, it just seems like something that could be improved upon, and it just fucking isn't.
It's interesting, when I worked with Clint Eastwood, he never said action.
Right.
He would say, whenever you're ready. And it was such a relief.
No. God, no.
No.
No. Just give me the role. I'm done.
Yeah. As soon as an actor hears action, they go into mode, into performance mode, which is totally against what you want if you're going for naturalism.
I do not enjoy the process of auditioning. It's very invasive, which is weird. An actor saying invasive, I know. I don't enjoy it, but I know that it's necessary. You have to see your skills.
I feel like I make better choices when I'm embodying something or channeling something or trying to, I guess, pretend, I guess. It's harder for me to grasp a bigger picture when it comes to a story or something like that. It's just really difficult to focus on an entire universe of something.
That's part of the hardest thing about auditioning and acting in general, is to find what type of puzzle piece you are so that you can fit into the big picture.
Here's a sandwich. Love you, Mom. Oh, his mommy packed his lunch. How cute. Theodore, give it back. Does your mommy care about your health? My mommy never writes me cute little notes. Oh, does she tuck you in at bed at night too? Does she read you a bedtime story?
Theodore, just let it go.
Oh, but it's so cute. You're a mama's boy. Does she change your diaper too, baby? Dude!
Leave me alone.
Oh, okay, fine. Just messing around. You need to learn how to take a joke.
Yeah, dude.
All of them. I've never not gotten a role that I've auditioned for.
Good question. I don't know, maybe half of the time? That's probably too high. Probably a little less than half.
My first thought was 1 in a million.
I tend to have actually a pretty good ratio, like a 50-50 ratio. I work really hard.
Theater, more frequently. I would say maybe 50 to 75% of the time. For TV film, I think there's just so many more people going out for a given part that I would say probably closer to 20 or 25% of the time.
I've done pretty well.
Yeah, pass. Rarely. So very rarely.
I booked the first union feature speaking role that I auditioned for, and then shortly after got a few more for those including for a title role in a studio feature. So
I mean, I've been luckier in theater acting than films, but I'm still very new to the auditioning scene specifically. So I haven't been on very many auditions in general.
It's part of the addiction.
Should book more, but could book less, you know?
It's been steady. I get told I'm a steady actor. Steady working actor.
Vera, wait! Wait, Vera! Wait!
Why should I wait?
I didn't know you kept it secret.
Oh, really? So you stole it from me and stored it to use like ammunition?
No.
Stop pretending!
I kept it quiet because it moved me. I thought it beautiful. But you seem an impossible person to say that to.
I've never rejected a role.
I don't reject roles.
Never. I have never done that.
That seems silly to me to say no to something.
I've rejected auditions for like, if I know that, like, let's say sometimes I got auditions for characters who were like 25, and if I know that there's just no use in doing it, or if there's material that I don't feel comfortable with, or if it's something that would like shoot in a really, really terrible area and the script isn't worth it, then I'll reject that audition. But if I get a role, I've never done that.
According to some advice I got from a friend, where there's like a triangle of things that you need from a project.
I did once turn down a role. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit on accepting the project without reading the full script first, and I just realized it wasn't for me. I backed out very quickly though. I didn't wait a long time. It was the next day that I just let them know that the script was not for me. And he totally understood. It was a horror movie and a bit more on the violent side, and I just, especially at the time, I wasn't necessarily interested in doing that.
Money, the people, and the script, and the project itself, I think.
Excuse me, can I help you?
No, you can't.
Okay, well, what do you want then, sweetheart?
I gotta call my man.
And any reason you need to do that here?
This is where the rift is.
What rift? Okay, listen, sweetheart, we gotta get out of here.
I don't have patience for this. I'm from the future.
Yeah?
See, this is my laser gun.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Hey, do they call it a laser gun in the future?
No, they don't call it a laser gun in the future.
My favorite role? You can't do this to me. That's like picking a favorite child.
My favorite role, I did a guest star on the Marvel show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. About 6 months ago.
My favorite role so far is my debut in Bulgaria as a lead in a film called Dose of Happiness.
That was the best experience I've ever had in every way. Basically, I was just, it was really cool. I was in every scene for 2 days. I was on set for 2 days, and they were about 16-hour days. And I was like on set there acting in a scene for every single hour except for the half hour that was lunch. And it was just like the caliber of the people there and the kindness and sort of just getting to, I don't know, to just explore that character. It was a really, really exciting character and a really exciting storyline, and it was darker than anything I'd ever done. And I got to do fight choreography. I got to work with like the best actor that I've ever worked with by far, who went to Juilliard, who had like 3 million stories to tell me, and he was phenomenal. His name is Reed Diamond.
Ooh. I did a short film called A Lovely Adult Beverage. It was a short film in San Francisco, and it was put in the Scary Cow Film Festival. And I was a principal in the part, and it was so much fun being on set.
So, you're familiar with the form, huh?
Oh, falling. What is love? And where is it? And for that poor ambition it springs a little man's heart short fever fit.
Oh my God! Blackie! She quotes Keats! Wonderful, my dear.
Least favorite role, the time I had the least fun acting.
I don't know if my hesitation is because I don't have one or if it's because I don't want to offend anyone who might see this.
That's hard too. Like I haven't really done anything I don't like.
So I did a production of Beauty and the Beast, the musical, and I got called in and called back to play Belle repeatedly, and then I did the rep. I signed on to the rep company and ended up, it was like they cast someone else in that role, and so they were like, ooh, what do we do with this actress who looks like she also could be that role? Let's put her in a gold unitard and stick her in the back. And so I was basically a set piece.
Least favorite. I don't really think...
Yeah, it was fun. It was one of those like humbling experiences of like, so what do I do in Act 1? You know, and I'm like ready to work, and they're like, you stand there like this and don't move.
It takes a lot for me to not like a show.
There was a long process and a long conversation between me and the director and some other people in the show about me playing Zubaida because I am white and I am not Muslim, and she is a person of color who is Muslim, and I felt super awkward.
I really, 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 really don't like working with filmmakers who seem to not like working with actors. I think my least favorite role has been one where I just felt consistently mistreated on set, you know, given a forced call, which basically means you don't have 9 hours to rest, you know, being asked for wardrobe after midnight when your call time's early the next morning and 2 hours away from your house and there's no one to take care of your dog. But
that I was terrified that people were going to come see this and hate me for playing this person of color when I'm clearly not. And so that was probably my least favorite experience.
But it was more just from a professional aspect of it, just very unprofessional.
I do control, but I learn to behave. Give me one more chance, let me be your slave. I'll kiss your dog heart, let me kiss your dog heart. Forever wish I will obey. That might be okay. Feel safe. I did a bit of research with my friends from legal aid. Technically, you're squatters. There's hope, but just in case.
The characters that I know I'm not right for, that I know I won't fit in those roles, taking those through at rehearsals and putting those on stage, it kind of physically hurts.
Yeah.
Like when you know you're not making a product that is going to be enjoyable for you or the audience.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, baby. This isn't going to be easy. Actually, this is going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. I don't want to say goodbye to you, give you up, but I just can't support you right now. But I will always love you. You will always be my son.
Like, I showed up for the set strike and they didn't tell me they did it the night before. It's like, no one bothered to.
Wow.
And I was a little kid, so it's like, I don't have a cell phone. What am I gonna do? My parents are gone for an hour. It's like, what the hell?
You didn't get any, oh God, like just being handed dirty prop classes and dirty silverware for lunch. Like, there's situations where you just feel like someone forgot that I'm a person and not just a flesh puppet. I'm not just like a movable furniture. I'm not a toy to play with and then throw away. So I think my least favorite roles have been on sets where I felt like I was treated like disposable or less than human.
Probably should have been more vocal about things not working, you know? Gage, can I ask you something?
Yeah, what's up?
Do you remember my dad?
The infamous Trent Rogers? The most feared parent in all of Emory Elementary? Yeah, a little. Why?
How did he seem to you?
What do you mean?
Like his personality. If you had to guess, what kind of man would you think he was?
Okay, my personal process when preparing for an audition.
I start the day before.
When it's something for theater, the first thing I do is I get a copy of the script.
The morning of, I'm just showering, like 30-minute shower, just to try to get in my head. And then I shave.
However I can. Sometimes that means looking up a PDF online. If that's not available, I'll probably buy it from DPS, Dramatists Play Service, or from Amazon. I'll go to Barnes & Noble just down the street and see if they have it, just as long as I can get my hands on a copy of the script, because knowing what you're auditioning for is everything.
And then it takes like an hour to find my shirt, the one that that I had laid out the week before, ready to go, and it disappears. Then the socks disappear, then the shoes disappear. I've managed to find the pants, because I have to walk around the house looking for everything.
My name's Dan Deacon. I'm a 20-year-old porn star. This is my first year, and that's pretty much it. Oh, some people like to call me Deeks.
Nobody calls you that.
What do I like about my job? I get to come in, smoke a little, hang out with my friends, fuck. Beats FedEx, man, that's for sure.
So I'll read through the script multiple times. One time through, I just read it for fun, for pleasure, to know what the story is, who the characters are, what the basic plot line is, what yada yada yada.
Crying, sweating, screaming, trying to tell myself I'm okay, that I'm not going to die, that there's a dentist out there who wants to drill my teeth, and that's going to be worse than the audition.
And then I'll read it again, this time looking at specific characters. I know that I've been acting kind of weird lately, and but see, here's the thing, Danny. I like you. Okay, I really like you, and I never said anything because I thought you were straight, but you're not. And I am so happy that you felt comfortable enough to come out to me, and I am really happy that we're friends, and I was really scared to mess that up. And like I've been trying to ask you out all month, but clearly I am the world's worst lesbian.
Well, okay, so usually I either see a role or I am sent a role, if I have representation or not. And then depending on what it is, I usually will either try and find out as much as I can about the show or storyline, or in the case of episodes, you usually only get what you're given.
Usually I get like the jitters really bad, so a lot of my stuff for auditioning is just to breathe. Just like a lot of like breathing exercises and yoga even sometimes, depending on your ability to do so at that time. And stuff like that really helps. Just kind of getting into, maybe, I don't want to necessarily say it's like my actor zone like some people, but like just kind of getting zen.
So I sit down and say, okay, what do I know about this character based on what I'm seeing in front of me? Any clues about what this person is like, where they're from, how they might behave, that I'm given in the text. And I have now a lot more classical training, and so in that sense I try to say, what do I have to work with in front of me, and build choices off of that.
Of course, going over my monologue, but I try not to look at it. Like, I try to not actually physically look at a physical copy of my monologue once I have it memorized. So I'll just kind of go over it, kind of mime out the actions, just try and do as much prep as I can in those last little bit before I actually get in there.
Prepare. So I'll spend time with the script. I want to have it memorized. I always hold it in my hand anyway, just in case. But I like to be off book, and I learn my lines in a very specific way as well. And then I think it starts coming to life for me once I know it.
They want you to succeed. Like it's like, oh, is this going to be our person? Like, that's what we want from you.
Sometimes a lot of that text is really hollow sounding. It's like, hey, honey, and then you need to be hitting that at just the right moment as opposed to just listening and responding.
We were there for Sally's first savings account, her first car, her first home, and everything in between. Now it's her turn.
When I receive an audition material, the first thing I do is always read through the whole thing. So I'd read the scene, I'd read the brief given me from the casting director. I'd read if there is any notes from my agent or the casting director or the director.
I get the script, I get like a little email, and it'll say at the very top of the email, it'll say like project name, and it'll say the date of the audition or when the self-tape has to be in by.
Then I'd research a little bit, and if it's an existing series or a second part of a film or something, I'd try to watch everything that was done beforehand, and then I learn the text, so I try to get off book as soon as possible, and while I learn it, I kind of think of what character I want to create, and obviously then I go back to the brief and what they told me for this specific character, and I try to just work out the text with the character I created.
Какво се хилиш, ма много си проста. Аз не знаеш, че успешно завърших първата си студентска година. Сега всичко е пак на педал. Там надясно казах да завиеш, бе. Ма той надясно завима. Наляво имах на предвид като цяло. Това си тъпия град. Ти познаш в Москва какво е, всичко е оказано и то като че ли е по-голямо там, не знам. То всъщност си е по-голямо, не е като че ли.
And then they'll say the role, and normally it will be the breakdown of the role, and so the breakdown could be something along the lines of like their entire background and like everything that motivates them, and that's really wonderful when that's the case. Or it will be something like beautiful, slim, ugly, or like just like the most surface level things ever. There's like a couple that's just been like blue eyes, like cool.
Procrastinate.
Sometimes they give you a script. Most of the time they don't. Most of the time it's literally you get the sides with no context at all. And if you're really lucky, if it's like a bigger project, then all of the names are blurred and they don't even tell you the title, so you have no context at all.
Procrastinate.
I try to read the script. I read the whole script if I'm given it. And then I go through the sides, which will be like 1 to 15 pages, kind of ranges within that number, those numbers.
Realize that I only have like a couple days left, pick something.
And underline sort of the words that I need specific images for.
Like right on the edge of inappropriate on purpose.
And it kind of depends on the audition I'm doing. This is what I try to do on most ones, but some of them it doesn't really do you any favors. But this is like, I would say that's sort of the standard process. And then I highlight my lines.
Because the way I see it is the longer they're thinking about me, the better.
And then I rehearse it a bunch. I try to memorize it first before I try any acting, so before I say it out loud. Anyway, I try to memorize it all. This is in an ideal world.
Not even like, because I'm so good. Just like, it's the same thing with a job interview, you know? You want to get them to talk to you as much as possible. You want your resume to be filled out in blue ink while everybody else is in black. You know, you want to stand out.
And so I'll go through it a bunch of times, and then I'll run it a few times, hopefully, and I'll try it a bunch of different ways.
They said 10. Ten. Sitting here isn't doing any good. Get up and do something to get your mind off of it. 11. When was the last time you ate? Before the audition. But you're not hungry. No, you can't just not eat. First step, get off the bench.
So, it'll call for like 2 monologues, and I'll pick something from like a video game and snip it together.
I research the director, the producer, the casting director, anyone else that's involved, anyone else's names that appear on the breakdown.
I'll do something a little more edgy than what would be expected of, because, like I said, cynical person, cynical actor. I'm probably not going to get called for what I want, but the very least I can do is surprise them, break up their day. And by they, I mean the people auditioning stuff. So
when I prepare for an audition, I always see if I can find out what scenes they're actually doing instead of just reading through the whole play. I really like to know the context of the scene that we're doing.
Last thing I auditioned for was I auditioned up in San Francisco to a couple of film directors.
This is all it takes to put your feet on brakes, put your life in motion, you turn to the ocean, don't hesitate. He said, go for it, baby, it's not too late.
Last thing I auditioned for was a Netflix show called Greenhouse Academy.
The last thing I auditioned for was a Netflix series.
Actually, last week it was a commercial audition.
Spring Awakening in San Francisco, and it was a really fun audition. There were a lot of really young kids there. Some of them didn't know what a VCR was. Mine was a student film that I got off of SF Casting.
It was definitely a film. I also sign NDAs when I audition, typically, for the big budget union stuff, so sorry, I can't even tell you about my more exciting auditions, even though I want to.
Yeah, a general thing that, the trendy thing to do, A theater house has like 5 or 6 shows, and they put out a general audition where you audition for all of them.
So you're telling me that I've been making up excuses for weeks, all because you didn't want me to tell him that I was going
Hey, can you blame me?
What was I supposed to do? You came to me and asked to be involved.
Then let me do it.
What?
Let me do it. Let me go there tomorrow. I'll fucking do it. I'll show you how useful I can be.
No. Well, no fucking way. This is my idea. You're not taking it from me.
Actually, it was for the film A Lovely Adult Beverage that I did. The director really wanted someone really passionate and could emote well, and he had me read a Roman poem.
Oh, wow.
Which I'd never heard of in my entire life, but I went, okay, I'm going to give my all, and he loved it. And afterwards he told me if I kept reading like that, I'd have a really long, good career.
And I sang it, and I thought I did horrible, and even right there on the thing, the person was like, can you please come back next week for the callback? And I was like, they just told me flat out, and I was like, and I hardly know anything about you.
What do you mean? You know where I work.
Yeah, so? I mean, what, do you have a family or friends? I don't know anything.
Don't have any.
Any what?
Anything.
What do you mean?
Look, Deacon, I like you. You're fun to talk to, and you make me laugh. But if this is all you want, just a couple of dates, then I'm not ready to have this conversation.
You know, I feel like a lot of things in life, you know those days where you wake up and you're feeling good and your hair looks right and you're like, yes, girl, you got this. I think it's having that vibe and then being prepared. So I rarely show up to auditions unprepared. It's like cold reading and things like that where they give you the script like 5 minutes beforehand. That would not be my best audition scenario. So
I had an audition for a CW show. I believe it was a CW superhero show. And it was just like, it was a really, really hard, and it was really dark, and like, yeah, it was one of the hardest auditions I've ever gotten. And I did a self-tape for it, and then I got a call back. And I've never experienced this before ever, where I went in and I had to cry in both scenes, like full on sob. And the casting associate went through it with me like 4 times and just kind of told me what she wanted and how she felt about it and different things. She asked me my opinion. And halfway through I just was not feeling it. I didn't feel like I could cry. And I was just like, all right, whatever, I'm not gonna get it anyway. And then she went outside to get the casting director. And at that moment, for some reason, I was just like, I just kind of like let go all of the, everything attached to it, and I just decided to just kind of be there. And the casting director came in, and he shook my hand, and he completely like gave me so much time to do whatever I needed. And then I went through it, and I, for some reason, like was able to bring up that emotion, which was really, really cool. And he reworked it with me like 4 more times, and he asked me my opinion, which never happens.
My best experience with auditioning has been the couple of times where I know everybody in the room waiting, and it relaxes all of us. Everybody knows everybody. No one's feeling like they have to compete with one another. No one's worried about like a bad first impression near a stranger. So that's as good and bad as it's ever gotten for me.
I'd say the one where I felt closest to what I wanted to be doing was the one for 13 Reasons Why. Like when I auditioned for that. I don't know, it just made things so tangible, if that makes sense. Like I went in there, it was like someone who's auditioned for other things and other films, and I was like, wow, this is something that I can actually achieve. This isn't like a dream anymore.
Oh my god, I hate her. She's such a bitch. I mean, how are we expected to learn anything if all we do is watch episodes of Drunk History? Like, does she even know that she teaches economics? Isn't this your house? Oh, yeah. Bye. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I was auditioning for a musical in San Francisco, and it was kind of like a lyrical, very hipster kind of musical. And I came in thinking Broadway, And I decided to do a song from Wicked. And the piano player was thoroughly confused by the music I had given him.
Wow.
Because I thought it would be better to have like the whole full score for the piece. And he got lost and confused and ended up doing the tempo twice as fast than what it was supposed to be. So the song ended up kind of being more like a polka.
I got there, nobody talked to me. People that I knew were just so busy, like, running over their lines. I didn't talk to anyone. I couldn't find my audition shirt. I wear normally a blue one, which makes my eyes just pop. But I couldn't find it. And then I normally have like a ring that I wear that's just like my lucky ring, and couldn't find that. And then I show up and I had a monologue that I had prepared 2 years prior that I've had, and then I couldn't find it, and then I finally got it, and then I started running through it, and the day of, I blanked.
It was over so quickly that I didn't have time to be like, hey, can we go back? It was just kind of like, hey, you sang, okay, goodbye, go.
Wow.
You show up and they'll often ask you to wear something specific. So I've gone to an audition, for example, for a commercial that's going to be Valentine's Day, and it's a couple on a date, and they want to see a young woman in a red dress. And the scene, again, is sort of hollow. And they often don't want to release the script in advance, so you're looking at a script, but it might not even be the actual script for the commercial or whatever it is. And so I've shown up at auditions being like, all right, like I got a cute little Valentine's dress on, like this is me on a Valentine's date, okay? And there's like 50 to 100 other women also wearing red dresses. I've been at an audition where there are as many as three other people wearing the exact dress I have on, which is always a little like, you know, it's already awkward when like you're wearing the same dress as someone else at a wedding or something like that, and then you're like in a room of weird carbon copies, like the different but the same people. And at that same audition, they were also auditioning another commercial.
We closed the show and we had a big cast party, and I had too much fun at the cast party, and then I had to go to the audition the next day, and the cast party was out at the beach, at like a beach house, and so I was driving back from Bodega Bay, and it was just like, I knew I was in bad shape, you know, like this is not going to be good. And it was at Sonoma State, and it was like, you know, do a monologue and then also tell a funny story. Like that's what the audition called for. And like, you know, at Sonoma State, you like get in the elevator and you go down to the stage, like from the lobby, and I just remember that like elevator ride down. I was just like, this is gonna be so bad, you know, like I just don't feel good, you know, like I don't. It's not that I wasn't prepared or anything. I just like was in bad shape, you know.
At that same audition, there was another commercial audition for a middle-aged man doctor. So I'm in a waiting room with about 50 women in red Valentine's Day outfits and about 50 men in suits with lab coats. And also, like, who has that just at their house? They must go out for doctor roles all the time. And I waited for probably 3 hours to read 3 lines, and it was actually a situation where they just said, you know, action, and the person was like, oh baby, it's so good to see you. Happy Valentine's Day, honey boo. It's really fun.
I don't know what the words are, you know, like I just gotta, you know, and then after that, then like trying to tell a funny story and feeling like already like not feeling good and knowing the monologue went really poorly, like it was just like, this isn't gonna be funny at all, you know.
Worst experience was breaking my finger while working on an unpaid, uninsured production. Didn't break the bone, broke the tendons. Had my hand in a cast for a while, including during some shoots and auditions for actual paid work. So that was a low point for me, to be honest.
Well, it was like a cattle call. It wasn't like, it was for a host, a Nickelodeon host for the Orange. So I was reading the Orange Carpet Show lines that they used like 6 months later on the Orange Carpet Show.
I would say that's even more crushing than having like something go catastrophically wrong, because then that's a story. But more than anything, I have a lot of auditions that kind of just went like, thanks for coming in. And I'm like, okay.
I was not aware there was going to be a camera there, and that kind of threw me at first. And then the second one was that I decided that I had it memorized enough.
When I was still newer to it, and I was driving up to Seattle for an audition, and it was kind of a weird situation because they told me I couldn't hold my sides, the script with me. It was a short thing, and I was like, that's okay, I can memorize it. And I practiced all the way up there, memorizing it, you know, and I already had it. And then on the way up, my phone died, and I didn't print out any directions, so I tried to use my car charger, and that stopped working, and I didn't know where to go for the audition without my GPS on my phone, so I had to find a T-Mobile store and buy a new one. And then I ended up late, and I was in Seattle, downtown Seattle, trying to find parking, so I was super late, super flustered. I get up there and they put me right in, and I said the first 2 lines, and then it was just blank, and I couldn't remember a single word after that. So she said, thank you. And I left, and I just went downstairs and cried, and that was pretty bad. And then I drove all the way back to Portland, so that was crappy.
Now, some people say alternative energies, and I'm like, what, windmills? You want windmills? Go to Holland is what I say. See how much you like it when it's not windy enough and you want to watch TV. Nope, nothing is more sacred than oil in our territory. Keeping America strong, keeping America safe.
I think laughter is just a great affirmation of life, and so I'm drawn to comedy. I love doing comedy. I also, though love doing dramatic, enlightening stories.
A little both, actually, but comedy's always fun.
There was another film where the character who only is comfortable in his skin is unless he's made up as a clown, even though he's not a clown. His daughter wants to get married, and she doesn't want him necessarily to walk her down the aisle as a clown, so she backs a clown intervention, which actually doesn't work. And he does walk her down the aisle as a clown, and at the end she kisses him on the cheek and comes away with his makeup on her face. And the director saw that and said, cut! Let's go back to one without the makeup, blah, blah. And I was like, no, this is a gift. You really have to see this is an amazing gift here. And it took me 10 minutes to talk him into shooting it. He said, okay, we'll go back and we'll shoot it both ways, without the makeup, with the makeup being transferred to her. And then the director luckily went one step further, letting her get through the wedding ceremony with the makeup on her face, and then kissing the groom, and the groom coming away with makeup on his face. And it was a transfer of the main character's energy going all the way through. It was symbolic, and it was absolutely lovely, and he kept it.
Advice to first-time auditioners.
Make sure that you are connected to your breath, that you're centered, that you are quieting the critical mind, that you listen, that you are more than familiar with your lines. You don't necessarily have to have them memorized on an audition, but be very familiar.
Turn back now.
Prepare. Prepare better than me. Use me as an example of what not to do. When you commit to going to an audition, be ready.
Prepare. Just don't get caught out like I have a couple of times. Just make sure that you know your stuff.
Learn something reachable. Like don't do a monologue from Julius Caesar if you don't read Shakespeare, if you don't know anything about Roman history, if you don't identify with something in there. Pick something that you can relate to, even if it's corny. Sometimes corny shit is the best shit because a lot of the times it's very true.
A lot of the times, like I say, they don't know what they're looking for. And if you give them several choices, one of those choices may be something they hadn't thought of, which may be better than even the star name that they've seen just previous that they thought they were going to give it to, and now you've done something that that star hasn't even thought of.
Do what makes you, if the best thing you got is like a poem, like go in there and do a poem. I don't care, you know, like if the best thing you do is from a TV show, like some TV show monologue, like do that. Like you know what I mean? Like whatever you got to do to, when you go in there, you feel like you're giving the people that are watching you the best version of you, like, or you performing there is, like, that's, just do that, you know.
Let the director stop you. When on set especially, and sometimes in auditions, you can keep going. And it could be, especially if you have another actor there that you're working with, that there's some genuine juice going on emotionally, fun, drama, whatever the case may be. Keep it going until you're asked to stop.
I like when other people are in the audition.
Well, if you can, I would say take a class to help you, a commercial class ideally, just because there's a lot of little things that you just don't know going into it, and that can really help you. Other advice I would say is don't put so much pressure on yourself. Don't put all of the importance on getting the job, because you know there's a lot of rejection in this industry, and you just want to go, you want to have fun, you want to be yourself. You're there to help the casting director and the client find what they're looking for. You know, casting directors are rooting for you because that makes their job easier. They found the person to fill that role, and that's what they want. So they don't want to see you fail. They're there to support you, and just, you know, go and just be you.
Having people like go behind closed doors, you know, and then come out, because then inevitably you have like the actors that come out that are just like, you know, like, and other actors that are like, that went great. And you're like, what is happening inside of that room, you know?
Like, be nervous, but be excited. This is super cool that you're doing this, that you're actually putting yourself out there.
I've never really been in an audition where there's too much, like, I mean, everyone's kind of in competition, but it's never like, I gotta make sure to take this guy out, you know, you're not having like a Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan situation, you know. It's like, it's more like, oh, we're all here together kind of going through this thing, and that's, you know, having that support I think is good.
Odds are, if things go terribly, they either won't remember you because they won't remember that it happened.
I don't think there's a lot of directors that are like, I hope this person sucks. Like, that doesn't make any sense, you know. I think like people like build that up in their head, you know.
Make big choices, make bold choices. They want to see, directors want to know that you are willing to put yourself out there, because something to remember when you are acting is that directors can always rein you in and pull you back. It is so much harder to push you to go further, to do more. So always do more than you think you need to do.
Don't expect to get the role that you want. Have fun though, because sometimes you might just bomb it like I did.
I would say you can never be too prepared. You can be underprepared. You definitely can be underprepared. Remember your lines. Research who the casting director is specifically, because they're humans too. Everyone who is auditioning you is a human, which means that they have their own wants, their own needs. They have bad days, and they have great days. And that's going to affect how you audition. It's really unfair, but that's how it works.
Hang in there.
Research what character you're auditioning for and mold your monologue and the song you sing and what you wear around that character.
Yeah.
So that when they look at you and they see
Right.
you, it's almost like they're seeing that character. And also think of the dentist, because that's scary.
The first thing I'd say, it's easier said than done, because I've been there, I'm still there, so trust me, I know. But definitely try and leave the nerves outside the room, and just be yourself when you go in, because you never know. They might not really like the way you read the character they gave you, but they might like you as a person in the beginning, and they might click with you, and that might make them give you some directions. So you might end up getting the part only because you were yourself in the beginning when you were introducing yourself.
Just try your best to be completely committed to whatever you do. Completely committed to whatever you do. Practice, rehearse, so when you get up there, the nerves don't kill you. So have what you're gonna do in your body. But just breathe. Really take a moment to breathe before, and trust that what you've got planned and what you practice is enough. And regardless of what the response is, just completely do everything that you want with commitment and try to enjoy the process. Just try to enjoy it and realize that you're getting an opportunity to do what you want to do.
Take risks, make choices. Make choices there, yeah. Because when you are in that initial audition and those people are seeing you maybe for the first time, this is their first experience with you and what you can do and what you can bring to the table. And they want to see that when you're out of there and when you're in the rehearsal room and then, or in the callbacks and then in the rehearsal room and then in the performance on stage, that you are willing to take those risks and make really bold choices. And so I think if you can bring that to them in that initial meeting and that audition and show them that you're willing to kind of leave it out there and really push yourself out of your comfort zone, then that goes a long way. That really resonates with directors and casting directors.
Work it a lot before you get up there. Don't think just knowing the lines. Discover who that character is. And Bryan Cranston recently did a thing where he said when he went in trying to do auditions the way he thought they wanted to see it, he didn't get any work. When he started taking it in, showing them what he thought the character was about, he said suddenly he got tons of work. So that would be my advice.
What happened?
Can you turn that alarm off?
Yeah. What are you doing? Seriously?
Don't seriously me. I mean, I'm just trying to do something special. We haven't been together, all of us, for like weeks now.
Then do something different. Don't try
I'm not trying to fill anybody's shoes. I'm just trying to do something nice for us.
To breathe.
I think it's important just when you walk into the theater, just be as completely comfortable as possible.
Own it.
Directors and, yeah, exactly. People, directors, anybody, when they watch you in the seats, they know when you're nervous. And once they pick up on that, then you start feeling that you are certainly not being comfortable in your own skin. And it's nerve-wracking, but it's important to just treat them as friends and people that want to see you do well. So.
What are you doing here?
Scott, you don't want to do this, please.
Maddie, please don't make this any more difficult than it needs to be. You're better off without me. Both of you. Please respect that.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, I do. I came here to get what is rightfully mine, and I'm leaving. You'll get your half.
Scott, I don't want half. I want...
Did you bring her here? What the hell, Maddie?
What was I supposed to do? I can't just leave her with my mom again. She's already suspicious and she hates you.
Worst thing you could do is automatically think you're not right for the part. Because you don't know what you might be able to bring to the audition if you are yourself. That's really what they want to see. They want to see you, and they want to see how you can transform into that character.
Do a character analysis. Take the character, do all info you can based off the monologue you are giving or scene you are given, and you do as much as you can to prepare for it. There's a lot of things on Google to know about a production that you're going to be in on. If you don't know, then you fill in the blanks. You have to make it up.
I feel like other actors don't help sometimes too because they just seem so fine. Like you walk in and you're like, I'm the only nervous person here.
Be yourself, because you never know what being yourself and your character is different. It's not just, hey, this is who I am every day for every character, but be yourself in your character, take ownership of your character and sell it. This is the show. Okay, the audition is the showroom. They want to see who is going to be on their stage or in their film. Now, they want to see. It's like a little clip, okay?
We also need to never mistake that kindness for weakness. And anyone who would be stupid enough to test you always regretted it. It was your superpower to make everything right, and with indisputable grace. Your movements were effortless.
I really like it when the director can take a few people at a time and throw some fun improv things just to see where your brain goes.
I feel like that is pretty solid and explanatory. They just want to see, come in, I want to see how you do your work for theater. I need to see how you move across my stage. And if you're submitting for film, I need to see how you're going to look on my camera. And if you can help make that or beautify it as much as you can, then hey.
Sometimes people read really well and they'll sing great. And then during rehearsals, you'll throw something at them and they get so lost.
My audition with George Miller, where I told the jokes, and that whole audition was us shooting the shit. It was his first time being in Hollywood, and he was thrilled to see everyone going to work on the sound stages and the Hollywood starlets.
Taking a few extra minutes to see what happens if you like literally just throw a ball at. I've seen a director just throw a ball at someone to see what they would do, and they freaked out and they dropped it and they kept trying to pick it up and they couldn't get it back up. It was really fun.
Especially, it took me over 2.5 years to land my first commercial. I'd get called back all the time. But as a serious actor, I always kind of felt commercials were just surface stuff. I didn't get that, well, you gotta be genuine with them too, instead of, I used this because of that. You know, it's like a different animal.
I hate the whole, like, the theater is empty except for like 3 people, you know, one of them, maybe none of them, and like a pianist waiting to like take your shit and learn your weird scribbles, and then it's just like, and then you leave. It just doesn't strike me as like
how traditionalist everyone is. Like they're like, you need to have your headshots in a certain way. All of your headshots need to cost $500, and there are actors out there who just can't afford that effort.
Asking people who are inherently a little wacky to get up in front and be like, be normal, just stand there and then do the thing in exactly the same order and that's it, I feel like is just not, you don't hear people laugh or smile or like how they naturally stand or how, you know, like, you know, when they're comfortable, they're not touching their face a bunch. All they seem to remember about a person is like nervous tics or, you know, the choice of song or how, I've heard that monologue for like the 10th time today. I think the coolest way to audition would be to do scenes with people, you know, like cold reads or like improv exercises or like a group audition, you know, like everybody get together and like tell stories and, you know, talents and stuff like that, because it's rare you'd get a group of people together in the same building with the same interests, the same schedule, theoretically, for that period of time, with the same, like, reason for being there. I think it would be great. I think it would be fun, and it would disarm the pressure of auditioning.
A fun way that some producers used to do is that what they did was they had people in pairs where they did a little scene where they read sides to each other, and they just acted out a little portion of a particular play that was similar to what they auditioned for. 2 birds, 1 stone, or 2 auditions, 1 act.
It's like you need to wear this color, you need to do this thing, or else like you'll be blacklisted. Maybe not that dramatic, but like, you know, they're very traditionalist, they're very set in their ways, and I think a few times that kind of reflects in the films that we see in Hollywood and things like that.
If acting didn't work out for me,
I actually really love directing for film because you're so ingrained into the process, whereas when you're doing theater, there's also the choreographer and someone else, and you kind of have to share your vision a little bit, whereas when you're directing film, it's your vision and you have people there to support you, but it's what you see, it's what you want, and it's the story that you want to tell.
Ultimately, if I can't be an actor, I'd want to be a casting director. I love casting.
A week-long film class at ACT in San Francisco. and we had 4 days to write a script, edit it, film it, edit, and then present it at the end of the week.
I'm trying to work on writing some, so I think that's something, and also just like some visual arts, like trying to draw, but I hate the way I draw. But I mean, trying to do stuff like that, just trying to still create something. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'll ever stop.
If acting didn't end up working out in my favor, I would be a college professor, and I would teach acting and teach everything that I've learned, because I had some pretty sucky professors out there.
One of my dreams is to open, own, and operate my own theater.
I'm much more interested in dramaturgy, literary management, new play development, producing, anything within an artistic department with a professional theater company.
And then stage management actually has caught my attention recently, because I took a stage management class just recently.
In the modern day, and actually in the ancient day as well, many people are multi-hyphenate, so.
I've produced a little bit. Short film I produced has just got into its first festival.
I'm also in a category that not a lot of actors, say in this area, have the gift. I have this gift of having a Hollywood career for 20 years.
And I'm currently co-directing and co-writing a feature-length documentary.
You get a little ring, and your name spreads in that ring, and people put in a good word for you, and a lot of times it can lead you into stuff that you really like to do.
And I have a couple of other things on my sleeve, which would make me a filmmaker, I believe.
In Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, I actually got some dance moves and got brainwashed by Alice Cooper.
I want to really surgically pull apart a character and really, because that's how my brain works, me personally, I take things apart mechanically, so to speak, and I get in there and I work out the ether of what that person is, and I like doing that. Being an ensemble is sort of you make your own reasons for being there, and whatever, they're right or wrong, who fucking cares.
Eventually landed a co-star role in Twilight Zone movie.
I participated in this small 24-hour play festival, which was completely written, directed, produced, organized by students entirely. And over the process of 24 hours.
Well, the first role I really had was during a 48-hour film competition. I was on a team and they gave me lines. And I didn't know I was going to be cast as kind of one of the lead female. And I hadn't really done that before. I helped out with friends' projects and stuff like that, and for fun. But I don't feel like that's quite the same. This was okay, Laura, so you're gonna do this, and here are your lines. And not only that, since it was a 48-hour film competition, I had a very short amount of time to learn the lines. And watching that performance, I'm not gonna lie, is a little painful.
Yeah, I hope I've said some good things. I feel like I rambled a lot.
So yeah, that was the whole thing. I hope this helps. I don't know. I don't consider my answers the most helpful things in the world, but hey, if you're watching this, you're probably looking for perspective anyway. So here's, the nuclear option versus who else you may have seen. So
I was gonna say talk to you later, but that's not true. Bye.